Okay, so the question is saying that we've got an original painted on a 50 by 60 piece of canvas. And we want to frame this, but we want to put a rectangular matting around the edges so that a uniform strip of the mat shows on all sides. So that's important to note that it is uniform, which means that it's going to be the same width on all sides of the photo. After we put the matting on, the area is now going to be twice that of the original painting. How wide is the strip? So I've got a diagram sketched out here, and this is kind of showing what we're dealing with. So we've got a 60 by 50 original painting, and then we're adding a border around it that's going to be the same length on all sides. And the new area, so the area inside, the area of the photo, the original, it's a 60 by 50. So length times width, the original area will be 3,000 centimeters squared. Okay, which means that the new area will be 6,000.
What's the original one?
All right, so since the new area is going to be twice the size, we're just doubling the original area. Now we have to figure out what our new length and width are going to be, because the area, my new area, is L times W. The original was 60 by 50, but now we've got this extra border around the side. In the question, it does say that it's a uniform strip, which means it's the same on all sides. So if we call this X right here, the width of the border, then this would also be X, this would be X, and this would be X. So my new length is going to be 60 centimeters plus border on this side and border on this side. So it's going to go from here all the way to here, which will be 60 centimeters plus 2 times X, because I've got a border on both sides. So my new length is going to be 60 plus 2X. My new width, so going from here to here, it was 50, but then I'm adding X on this side and I'm adding X on this side. So it's going to be 50 plus 2X. We've got our equation now, which is the hardest part of the question. Now we're at the easy part. We just have to FOIL it out and solve for X. So after we FOILed it all out and collected our like terms, here's our equation, 4x squared plus 220x minus 3,000. Now we want to solve this. So you always want to choose the easiest method to solve, which could be factoring, could be the quadratic formula. Generally, completing the square to solve is the longest way. But start by taking out a GCF if you can. Regardless if you're going to factor or use the quadratic formula, it's always easy to work with smaller numbers. So we can, in fact, take out a 4. And we'll get this as our new equation. Okay, so now I'm left with this. If you can factor this, then factor. If not, use the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula works all the time, so we'll just go with that. So I've got A equals 1, B equals 55, and C equals negative 750. So we substitute our A, B, and C values into the quadratic formula. We get x equals negative 55 plus or minus square root of 55 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 750. And this is all over 2 times 1. So when we simplify underneath the radical, we get square root of 6,025. Now the original question says to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. So I'm not leaving it in radical form. I'm converting it to a decimal. So when we type this in, we're going to have two different solutions. Negative 55 plus square root 6,025 divided by 2 gives me positive 11.31. The second solution will be negative 55 minus the square root of 6,025 divided by 2 gives me negative 66.31. So we talked before about extraneous roots. I can't have a negative measurement, so this root would be extraneous. So I know that my x value is 11.31. This doesn't tell me the length or width though. I've got to go back to the original. I know that my length is going to be 60 plus 2 times 11.31, and my width is going to be 50 plus 2 times 11.31. So if we add those up, we can solve for the dimensions, which is what the question is asking. Or sorry, it actually just asked for how wide the strip is. So we could stop there at 11.31 centimeters, or we could go further and find the length and width.